Let's do this.
It's time for Hanging with Langan.
I like that she's got a big dirty mouth that gets her in trouble.
Wow.
Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time.
There you are. How are you? Welcome to Hanging with Langan. So happy to have you here. You guys, we've got a lot to talk about. Just ahead, the official historian of Hanging with Langan is here helping me kick off the second season. My second guest. I'm so excited. His name is Peter Bales. You know him as the comic and the professor of history in New York. So before I bring him on, you know I don't want to hate people, right? You know that. I'm all about love. I don't want to hate anyone. It's what you do that causes me to hate you. I'm a victim. I'm not really a victim, but you get my point. I got to talk about this. And Hanging with Langan, I want you to understand, this is where the journalist in me connects with the comic. So it's where curiosity meets comedy, and hopefully the goal is to always be fun and always be smart. We'll do our best. But this weekend, it was a weekend of the White House coronavirus bingo. It was Survivor. It was a sick reality show, and that Dr. Sean Conley, Trump's doctor, I thought he was auditioning for Bachelor. Trump is leaving. This was just announced. He's leaving Walter Reed Hospital this evening. And he just tweeted, in case you missed it, because this is his public service message to you, do not be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. Do not be afraid. And by the way, he feels better than he did 20 years ago. So that's good. He's telling you not to be afraid. No problem, because the Affordable Health Care Act is going to be decimated. You will no longer be covered for pre-existing conditions, which you'll have once you have COVID, but good luck to you. Where's your helicopter? Get it ready to go to your local hospital. This is insanity. This is insanity. How many people have tested positive after that rose garden? Are there any roses left after Melania redid it? I don't know. But last week's Rose Garden event to honor the nomination for the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, how many people have already tested positive? This morning, Kayleigh McEnany and two of her staffers, of course, President Trump, Chris Christie, good luck to him. He's obese and has asthma. Hope Hicks, 3 Republican senators, a bodyguard, and some guy from Notre Dame. Laura Ingraham was there from Fox News. I think she's okay. I mean, not mentally, I just mean physically. And her brother, you have to follow this guy, Curtis Ingraham, on Twitter. He happens to be a gay man who can't stand his sister. It's hysterical. You have to follow him. It's absolutely delicious. Now, I want to say this to you. I used to want to be a better person, but I found it exhausting. I would be lying to you if I said I did not share in some of that, what is it called? Schadenfreude. But it also goes along with, sadly, my guarded hope that all these cases would have in some way infused an empathy in our president and hopefully the other people around him. I'm not seeing that. I believe there's something fundamentally wrong with not having compassion. I don't have 100% of it, trust me, when others are suffering, particularly when you want compassion and understanding for yourself. But I feel I'm just really angry about this. I'm angry that Trump got into a car, that he expected CIA guys to go along for his self-absorbed little dog and pony show. It's the same thing that he could have accomplished by waving in a window or doing another one of his videos where he said he doesn't have to read about the virus because he now understands it. And plus he doesn't read, except for the classics, Lord of the Lies, Nasty Little Women, and Catcher in the Pussy. This is insanity. And then some of his surrogates today are saying, he should be president because he understands the virus. Joe Biden hasn't had the virus, so Joe doesn't understand it. So then I watched state-run media spin, and they're turning him into a superhero for his stupidity, and I believe criminality. That's what I believe it is. They are calling him a superhero, and they say the CIA signs up to risk their lives to protect the president. Yeah, they do, but not in this way. Not in this way. The New York Post writer, I'm not even going to name her, she says he's brave, what he's doing. Brave. He's doing this for the people, she said. And I'm like, really? He's doing this for the people? He's doing this for himself. And now, because he's doing this, his followers say that masks are garbage because if the president can get the virus, then anyone can get it. Yes, anyone can get it. But the masks are supposed to help you. They're supposed to help not only you, but other people. The mask, look at this. You put on a mask, and it is a hurdle, a barrier between you and the virus. See that? Look at that. You can't see me? There we go. And that car, that Trumpmobile, all right, this is, okay, it's bulletproof, but it's also hermetically sealed against chemical attacks. So get that, nothing can get inside and nothing can escape, like a really good Tupperware bowl. But also that means air. Fresh air, get in. I don't think this is how heroes behave. I think heroes respect and protect you. And he reminds me of like Arthur. Remember the movie Arthur? Like a big baby boy who has never been told no, who tells his butler, in this case the CIA, to drive him around the block. And also this Caney McEnany, people like her. Now she has a young child. And I think her mother, I hear, is the nanny. I don't wish this on anybody. But the selfishness of people going out there and not giving a crap about the people next to them, the press. Her child is too young, but there are other people who have this virus, have children. And children go to school. They potentially infect teachers. And two of my siblings are teachers, and one of them is a school social worker. And then they get to go take care of my 83-year-old parents who may get it. I think they're selfish acts. I really do. And I also think about how many people could not say goodbye to their dying family members because of this freaking nightmare. They didn't have the luxury of the CIA and helicopters and hermetically sealed stuff. I always think about this woman out on Long Island. Her name is Maura Lewinger. And she lost her 42-year-old husband, Joe, to this virus and left 3 children without a dad. He was an assistant principal. He was a basketball coach at Catholic high school. He couldn't go out and drive around the block and wave to his family and blow kisses. He was dying in his hospital bed. The nurses put him on Facebook or Zoom or one of those things, and his wife, Maura, said goodbye as he died, and she played their wedding song. So wear your effing mask. How hard is it? And don't make me hate you, because I don't want to hate you. You make me hate you. Okay, it'll be win-win. I wonder, Fauci, I think he should have a meme, how you like me now. All right, so in a moment, I'm going to bring on my historian, the official Hanging with Langan historian, Peter Bales. But first I got, for me, it's some happy news. I have launched Hanging with Langan on Patreon.com. I would love for you to go over and check it out. Patreon.com/Maureen Langan. I'm going to put this up so you can see where you go. So go to this. What I've done in what Patreon is, if you don't know, it's a place for you to be a producer of this show. I don't have sponsors. I don't have guys telling me I can't talk about this or that. It's a place where you guys become my producers at a lot of different levels. So you subscribe on a monthly basis. And for $5 a month, you'll get all the shows put up there for you to watch. And my shows, by the way, are also on Apple and Spotify and my Hanging with Langan page. Just check that out, too. I just put my first one up there of Julia Scotti. Julia Scotti is a brilliant, wonderful woman, a comedian who happens to be transgender. I had a great conversation with her last week. There's a documentary about her called Julia Scotti, Funny That Way, at the newfest.org. It's a LGBTQ festival in New York City. You have to watch this documentary. It's riveting. It's directed by Susan Sandler, who wrote Crossing Delancey, which was Golden Globe nominated. So anyway, what you'll get at the $5 level, you'll get a potato peeler. But if you go to the $10 level, you'll get all the behind the scenes chats, interviews, bonus videos, a lot of cool stuff. And we talked about where she got her vagina. We talked about her fears when she first was transitioning. So it goes from the deep, the vulnerable, to the funny. And if you go at the higher levels at 25, this week, Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt right over my shoulder. So I'll send you out one of those. And you get buttons like Don't Make Me Hate You. I don't know how to do this. Don't Make Me Hate You button. And at higher levels, we can have wine parties. We can do one-on-one broadcast coaching. So there's a lot of fun stuff. And it would make you a producer, which means it will keep these shows coming, because I'm freaking serious about this. I don't just slap this shit together. I work like a dog for you to bring you some really great stuff. So what else do I have to tell you about that? Oh, big shout outs, please, to my two new producers, Elena Tapuzian. Thank you, Elena. We worked at Stop and Shop back in high school in Parsippany, New Jersey, Route 46. And Molly Barber. Molly, we worked together at Channel 9 back in the day in New Jersey. Also, she was the last romper room lady. So Molly, I got to have her on the show. She is a love. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for supporting. But I want you guys, just go check out the page because you'll see the different levels at Carol Burnett, Ginger from Gilligan's Island, Dolly Parton, Lily Tomlin. Who else do I have on there? Rhoda and Joan Rivers. Those are the different levels. One's a really high level in case you're wealthy. All right, you guys. Wait till you see. This is going to keep emerging. I'm going to have her cool sound clips. I'm going to do gay news. I'm going to do Who's in Our Vagina. Oh, shout out to my gay fellas taking those Proud Boys, those white guys who want to beat the crap out of people. The gay guys are now calling themselves the Proud Boys. Yay! So we're going to really mix it up for you, but hopefully the goal is to always be fun and always be smart. Want to hear from you too. When you go to patreon.com/Maureen Lang, and I will take your questions. It's all community is really what it is. And if you don't support me, that means you're a piece of crap. Not really. All right. Now, it's tough times for everybody. We're doing the best we can, aren't we? So, sick presidents. That was what came to my mind. Sick presidents. I thought of not just physically, but mentally is what I've been seeing. So I was thinking, I have to call my favorite historian, Peter Bales, and say to him, I shot him an email this weekend. I said, Peter, we got to talk about the history of presidents and what happens when they are ill and, some have died in office. And so anyway, I know that Woodrow Wilson and Donald Trump have some major things in common. So without further ado, I would like to bring to the Hangin' with Langan online, whatever Facebook show, stage, let's go to Mr. Peter.
All right.
How are you?
So great to be here. Season 2. I love the opening. Let's do it.
Thank you, Peter. All right. So we're talking sick presidents. Let's do this. Donald Trump, very sick, scary, a month before the election. What happens if, God forbid, he becomes incapacitated or goes to God or wherever one goes when you're him?
Well, I love to talk about history in terms of it's happened before, and it's happened before. Lots of presidents hide their health problems, very, very serious health problems. And the classic one you just mentioned, Woodrow Wilson, had a stroke, was incapacitated for weeks and weeks, and literally in and out of a coma.
Well, Woodrow Wilson?
Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part. All right, I did a lot of I didn't know he had the stroke. All right.
Yes, he had a stroke. And it was at a critical time in our history when the Senate was debating on whether or not to approve the Treaty of Versailles and have the United States join the League of Nations. His wife and his White House position hid the truth from everybody else. That could never happen again today, but that back then it did happen.
But didn't he get the flu while in Paris?
He got the flu while he was in Paris. He was very weak. His negotiating skills were affected. He did the best he could. It was a harsh treaty. Wilson did not want a harsh treaty, but at least he did get his idea, the League of Nations, into the Treaty of Versailles. And he comes back to the United States, and checks and balances, separation of powers. He had to get it approved by the Senate. But the Senate became political, Maureen. Can you believe that?
Come on now.
They didn't do necessarily what was right for the country. They became political. And Senator Henry Cabot Lodge of Massachusetts, a blue blood if there ever was one, wanted to be President Lodge. And he hated Wilson, and Wilson hated Lodge, and they went at it. And Wilson was really not himself. His wife was running the country. Groups of Democratic...
like Nancy Reagan, kind of.
Well, there's a comparison to Reagan. Groups of Democratic legislators would go to the White House and say, how should we vote on the farm bill? Mrs. Wilson would say, excuse me, gentlemen, Woodrow's taking a nap. He's feeling a bit under the weather. She'd go into his bedroom, stay there for 10 minutes. He's in a coma. She'd make the decision.
was in a coma.
He was in a coma. I'm not saying a deep sleep and very sick. I said a coma.
Yeah, no.
He made the decision, go out and tell the Democratic congressman how to vote. That went on. That happened in this country.
Wow.
And he was stubborn. It affected him mentally, which I'm very worried about with Trump because COVID apparently affects you mentally.
But he's going home today.
He's going home. That's a big
home.
I know. But what are the after effects? Not only physical, but mental. And Wilson was unable to compromise. There needed to be compromise on both their parts. The U.S. ended up not joining the League of Nations because the Senate never approved it. And who knows how history would have been different had we joined the League of Nations. The League of Nations, tasked with avoiding World War II, goes into effect without the most powerful nation in the world as a part of it. And it was our idea. It was Wilson's idea. It's one of the greatest tragedies, truly, in American history. Woodrow Wilson hiding how serious his health issue was.
Well, you know what, too? I mean, when I saw Sean Conley, the doctor for Trump, and just play games when people are like, has he been on oxygen? Not today, but has he been on it? He wasn't on it yesterday. Hey, Maureen, are you dating Fred? I wasn't dating him last week. Are you dating him today? I didn't date him Friday afternoon. Like, it was so evasive. Hey, if you have comments here for Peter Bales or for any of us here, that's two of us, you'll get into the chat. And if you want us to see your name, just do the streamline. This is what you have to do because some of you are commenting and we'd love, love, love to see.
I love comments. I love comments. Ask for anything.
Let me put this up, Peter. So here, this is what you do. You just go StreamYard.com/Facebook. That's it. Click on the blue. Then I'll get to see your name right here in the chat. So you can, whatever you need, we're here for you. Dana is funny. She says Woodrow Wilson's wife, her name was Edith and not played by Gene Stapleton. Well, let's move on from Woodrow. So he never fully recovered, correct? Like he was always a little daft after that?
He was
short of a Happy Meal?
Very, very weak after that. Believe it or not, he was so oblivious he would have been open to being drafted to run for a third term. But thankfully, the Democrats told him to pack his things and get out of the White House for the 1920 election. He died in 1924. He had a townhouse in Washington, D.C. during his years after the presidency, and he was never well. And he was a defeated and broken man. He had such a high hope. He went from the heights to the depths. His first term was the high mark of the progressive movement, and he died in 1924 a broken and defeated man.
Well, let's talk about. We have a lot of different people to talk about, so I want to move on from there. There's like how many? 2, 4, 6. There was like 8 or 9 people who either died or got ill. There's William Henry Harrison, Zachary Taylor, Warren Harding, Dwight Eisenhower, FDR, JFK, Ronald Reagan, George. So, which ones stand out to you that have unique stories that we may not know about?
Warren Harding died. Well, that's pretty sick when you're in office when you die. He was on a train trip to Alaska, the first president ever to travel to Alaska. And he was having heart problems. He was heartbroken because corruption in his administration was about to be revealed. Today it happens in one day. Back then it was going to come out over the next month. So he's on this trip. It had been long planned. He is very, very depressed. He should have been happy on this train trip out to Alaska, but he was very depressed. And he had a heart attack. And his physician, who was hired as a friend and a poker-playing drinking buddy during Prohibition, was not a great doctor. And he said, don't worry about it, Mr. President. You just had some bad seafood.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be fine. Well, they cut the trip short. They went to San Francisco, where he died.
So he never made it to Alaska, where they have really good seafood.
I think he was just up in Alaska.
You don't get seafood in Kansas on your way to Alaska.
No, probably you're right. You're right. He shouldn't have gone for the fast food. But they took his body across the country on 3,000 miles on a train, shrouded in black, people turning out on the side of the tracks crying. But when he got back to Washington, they had a state funeral, everybody very sad. But then the scandals came out, and he was disgraced in death. And he's now.
What kind of scandals? I don't want to get too off track, but what kind of scandals?
Well, he appointed many people to important positions.
Like his daughter and son-in-law?
No, but
like that?
No, a group of men called the Ohio Gang that he knew from his home state. and they robbed the country blind. And he is judged by historians as being a poor president because he didn't watch the hen house. And,
so what happened when he died from his bad choice in seafood? What happened? Like, did the vice president automatically succeed him?
When a president dies in office, that's easy. He becomes president.
But it didn't always happen, right? They didn't have an official law for that. That emerged over time, right?
It did emerge over time. But it was a smooth transition after Harding died to one of the least talkative men we've ever had as president, Calvin Coolidge.
Oh yeah, I don't have anything about him.
You know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him.
You know, you always wonder where these jokes come from. And he was famous for not speaking much. He didn't talk much. And at a White House reception, a woman came up to President Coolidge and said, "Mr. President, I have a bet with my friends that I can get you to say more than 3 words tonight." And Coolidge looked at her and said, "You lose," and walked away. And that's been attributed to Churchill. It's been attributed to a lot of people. It's actually a Coolidge true story that became, and you can relate to this as a comic, stock material. That's where it started.
Oh, hacky there. So, all right. So, who else do we have here? Warren. Okay, so
Warren Harding. Kennedy. How about he's one of your favorites?
Oh yeah, my mother. Okay, this is what we had growing up. First of all, my brother John is named John Kennedy Langan. And we had Jesus in velvet, and then we had JFK in velvet. No Elvis in velvet. It's like, what's happening?
An Irish family growing up in New Jersey, right?
Yes, like Hiawatha, where there's no name.
Like the Kennedys, right?
Well, you know what it is? It wasn't like, it was just on the wall, and there was a respect, but it wasn't like we genuflected when we passed it. It was just, Irish Catholic president. I'm sure that my parents have been a lot, but kids are just like, just like there's no doorknobs that they're falling off.
Did your mother ever accidentally call out, "Oh, JFK"?
That's a little creepy, given that my brother's name is John.
I know,
a little creepy there going on.
I'm so sorry. You shouldn't think about that and your mother. That is creepy.
Thank you. So all right, let's talk about Kennedy. Well, we know what happened with him, and
what happened? Well, he was hiding a lot of health issues. He had Addison's disease.
What is that?
It's an adrenal thing.
Yes.
And he was still nursing a back injury from his exploits as the skipper of PT-109 during World War II. He was rarely photographed with his crutches. And actually, most Americans thought that he was one of the most athletic presidents we ever had, which he was prior to being president. But the touch football and the activity like that was staged pretty much while he was president. Because he was hurting.
But see, that's the thing now is you wonder, you do keep it secret, but could that happen today? Like somebody like Tammy Duckworth, it's clear that she has, she doesn't have legs. And would we today support somebody who had some physical issues or some?
The country did support that, of course, with the famous FDR. And it's been estimated that probably about 50% of Americans knew that he was crippled from polio and couldn't walk a step. And the other half probably didn't even know about it.
But he got polio while in office, did he?
No, he didn't. No, he got it very, very early in life in the early 20s. After he ran for vice president and lost in the 1920 election. And shortly afterwards got polio while on vacation in Maine. And was depressed for about a year, but give the man credit. He got strong again. His wife, Eleanor, became his eyes and his legs. And
but not his vagina. She didn't become his. He had vagina from other people. Go ahead, legs and eyes. Yeah, but
I think you're referring to the fact that he had an interesting relationship with his wife. They were not man and wife in the traditional sense because during the 19-teens, she had discovered love letters in a shoebox in the back of a closet from another woman. And in those days, a divorce would ruin a politician's career. Can you believe it? Now, you can get divorced and it's nothing.
This is what I love about FDR, Peter Bales. Let me put the thing about FDR is he's numb from the waist down and he's still getting laid. You know what I mean? Like, he can still get, like, chicks.
I like it. We're highbrow but lowbrow at the same time.
Funny and smart. That's what we are. Funny and
smart.
That's what we do here.
Laugh and learn at the same time.
That's the goal. Laugh and learn.
All right. Well, it's true. She became his best friend. She became a political asset, and she helped him. She trusted him. He couldn't. And today, the press would have publicized, promoted the fact that he couldn't walk. The Secret Service had to carry him like a baby onto the presidential train. Today, somebody would jump out from BuzzFeed or People Magazine and take a photograph and, oh, we got you. But back then, they didn't do that. They didn't.
Interesting. They had to carry him like a baby, and it's like the CIA has to drive our current president around the neighborhood like a baby.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like a big baby. Take me for a ride. I want a ride. Risk your lives and give me a ride. Oh, Jesus.
Well, I got to tell you, it was secret, but it wasn't secret. It was just a classier time, the 1930s and 1940s, when the press played down things that didn't necessarily make a difference. You don't need an acrobat to be president. He was intellectually vigorous.
Oh, yes.
But Maureen, as the war went on, he was really suffering from heart disease and other issues, hardening of the arteries, they called it back then. He never should have run for a fourth term in 1944. Never could have gotten away with that today. He was clearly sick. You could see it in his face. And that was very risky for the country. And you cannot have a diminished president because at the famous...
Well, yeah, you can.
Well,
apparently you can.
Seriously, at the Yalta Conference, Stalin was able to walk all over him.
Well,
and
there's so many parallels. There's so many parallels. Yeah. Putin, Stalin.
Yes. I mean, we've got a very dangerous month to go here.
Well, that's what I want to wrap this up with, Peter Bales.
Okay.
This is what I want to talk to you about. And this is frightening. I know sometimes I'm a little glib. And we have a month to go. Just, less than a month to go before our next election. We have a president who is positive for COVID, who had to be helicoptered into a hospital. So this isn't a sniffle or the flu. What the heck happens if he continues to diminish? Who runs for president?
All right. Well, that's a very good question. It's not entirely clear, but I must tell you, I am not one of those people. I don't wish harm on anyone. But
no, I don't either.
Trump, I hope he recovers for the good of himself and the good of the country. But if he were to pass away before the election, some states would vote to allow the electors to vote for whoever the party approves to run instead of Trump. In other words, it would be Pence. They couldn't get Pence's name onto the ballot because the ballots are printed, voting is but people would understand that if they're voting for Trump, they're voting instead for Pence.
I see.
Pence would assume running for president instead of Trump. They could not substitute somebody else. It would be too much.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
They couldn't substitute somebody else. They're not going to say, okay, we're going to put Ted Cruz in there. It would have to be Pence. Mm-hmm. And you'd end up voting, in effect, for Pence on Election Day.
And, so they would approve him to run in his place. And then, all right, that makes a lot of sense.
And then the Electoral College, in some states, they have to vote for who the state selected. They get together around December 8th, and they vote to certify the election. Some electors are called faithless electors. They can vote any way they want. But state legislatures would quickly pass laws allowing for Republican electors to vote for Pence. So Pence could conceivable be certified by the Electoral College on or about December 8th.
But I thought the Supreme Court ruled that the electors had to vote with the state, like they weren't allowed to break ranks with that, where at one time they could. I don't know if that's...
Yes, some states have laws that certify that happens. Other states don't, but these are loyal party members, the electors, the members of the Electoral College, and they're not rebels, they're not renegades. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. What's going to be an issue is the Electoral College will certify. If the Republicans win on Election Day and Trump is gone and it's Pence, they will probably and almost certainly certify Pence on or about December 8th. Now, officially, the election has to be certified by Congress. And that happens December 6th. The new Congress is sworn in January 6th. The new Congress is sworn in January 3rd. So did you hear that? There's going to be a new Congress January 3rd. And anybody who's paying attention can tell you the Democrats are going to add to their representation in the House. And it's now looking fairly favorable for them to take back the Senate. So anything can happen. Anything can happen in early January.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if Trump wins, certified by the Electoral College, certified by Congress January 6th, and then he dies January 15th? What would happen?
I don't know, Peter. That's why you're here.
I'll tell you. They would swear in the Vice President-elect, Mike Pence, and Mike Pence would become president.
And his mother, who's his wife, would become first lady. First mother.
And he could never have dinner with a woman alone.
No. I hope he can he get on the stage with Kamala. But listen, Peter, people can follow Peter Bales on Facebook. There, Peter Bales. I just want to give another shout. Peter, I love that you're my official historian.
I am.
Official
historian of Hanging with Langan.
Stay in. I'm going to put you in the backstage green room and just making a couple announcements here, you guys. So right now, Hanging with Langan, what I'm doing is we're expanding. I love my comedy community. We'll have a lot of comics on, as well as my A team of academics, authors, alcoholics, which could also mean comics. But what I've done, and I really love your support, and what I would like you to do is please go to this new Patreon page that I have just created with my wonderful graphic artist, Bob Johnson, who you should use if you ever need a great graphic artist and web design person. Go to patreon.com/Maureen Langan. And I want you to check it out. We just put it up there. We just launched it. You get things at different levels, from $5 at the Carol Burnett level to a lot of money at the Joan Rivers level. If you go at the 25 level, it's usually at the 50, but at 25, I'll give you a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt. And of course, the 10 and up level gets a Don't Make Me Hate You button. And, we do things like at the higher levels, what you'll get all the shows at any level. And as you move up the levels, you'll have backstage chats. We'll dish the dirt with some of my great guests. We will have like Julia Scotti, a comedian who was on America's Got Talent. She joined me last week. We had an after show chat, and she is a transgender woman. So you have to hear our chats. We talk about where she got her vagina. And it turns out it's a place where I know a number of people got vaginas. It's very interesting to me. And she really opens up. She's very vulnerable and honest about who she is. And I just love her to bits and pieces. You can check that out. And at the higher levels, I open the vault and I'll bring out really cool chats I've had with people like Anderson Cooper. I remember Agent 99. I have some of her. And I have a woman, Adina, who I love, who is a docent at the Whitney Plantation in near New Orleans, and I had a fascinating chat with her about slavery. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to run the gamut, and go to hangingwithlangan.com too, my new page. You'll see everything listed. The shows will be put up there, as well as an Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're not doing 5 days a week because this is so much work. You can't imagine. I'm reading books. I'm like, I do read books. I mean, but we're going to bring you some great stuff. So I hope you continue to support. Be my producers. I want to hear from you. I want your comments. I want your questions. MaureenLangan.com has everything. And again, another shout out to my two new producers, Elena Tapuzian and Molly Barber. You guys rock. Thank you for your support. And we will see you next time. Monday and Thursdays are the days. Those are the goals, to bring you a show every Monday and Thursday, and then we'll drop them on the podcast platforms after that. All right, you guys, be good, be kind, please wear your friggin' masks, for the love of God. I get it, not 100%, but look, barrier. All right, rock on. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, wig. Mwah.